Pedestrian, we're a creative education and training charity. We've been going for 16 years, but we don't receive any core funding for any of our overheads or building space or anything like that, so everything that we do is out of our own reserves. When I first joined in 2007, Pedestrian had just taken on a space in the LCB depot. We needed somewhere that we could call home, we took on a full-time member of staff at that point to start to grow the organisation, to get more sustainable contracts, and it just made perfect sense that that should be in the cultural quarter. It's all right. From being a voluntary organisation run through meetings in the back room of pubs and in youth centres and all that kind of stuff, to feel like we wanted to feel grounded somewhere, it needed to be somewhere that really fit our ethos and where we wanted to go. And the LCB really worked for that. So we were there for a year and a half, 2 years, I think. And it really felt like that was an incubator space, because we got to get to know other businesses in the area, learn and understand how they worked, and grow our own business. So we found somewhere on Rutland Street, which is just across the way, and it was literally sitting outside what's now the Chutney Ivy. Oh no, it was the Chutney Ivy. Yeah, it was the Quarter, having a cup of coffee and seeing a private landlord go and put a to let sign up above his electrical shop on the corner and going, that won't be there long. Hello, can we come in? And just going over and having a chat with him, and it went in a week, and we managed to get one side of that office space. So we were very lucky there in taking on that private space, and it was brilliant. It was like this space, really nicely done out, really affordable, and because our landlord ran the shop downstairs, it was just a case of popping downstairs and having a chat with him. So those having strong communication with your landlord, that was a really positive experience for us as a starting step going out of the managed workspace. Needed to grow again only about a year later. We needed to start to deliver some of our workshops on site with young people, and as beautiful as it was as the space, it was about half the size of this room, so to have lots of young people in and the office staff as well was a bit crackers. So we moved into what's now Manhattan 34 in the Exchange building, and we managed to negotiate a peppercorn lease there. So we paid very low rent, and we refurbed it completely because it needed a lot of love, because it had been empty for a while. And that took a completely different amount of energy to be able to negotiate that and go through some of the challenges that Rob was talking about earlier. We knew that our time was limited in the space, so thinking, where do we go next? And I was literally sitting at my desk looking across the road at the LCB depot going, well, that meeting room isn't used very often. I wonder what the plan is for there. So I walked over, had a chat with Paul, had a chat with Peter. And we talked about the space in terms of what their ambition for it was, what their minimum requirements obviously around income was for it, but whether it could be used for something other than the meeting space. So what we did, with the very kind permission of the council, we built a wall in it, and had the front space as the gallery and the back as an education workshop. And then we've now moved out and expanded again, which was only last year, but we've taken on 2 floors of a space on Rutland Street further down opposite the village, which is just on the edge of the cultural quarter, or we kind of term it as being the cultural quarter still. And there we've got our education workshop, and it's that space was done through an agent, so it's just literally looking online and looking at the various agents, which again was something I hadn't done before. We hadn't found a suitable space. It was affordable, but it did need a little bit of work doing it. We have invested in it on a 6-year lease, but it's very affordable, the rate that we managed to get it at. So that was a new experience, going through an agent and dealing with that, because our landlord's actually based in Canada, I think. Or certainly was at the time, so it was a bit of a delay on some of the negotiations. But it's all worked out really well, and I'm hoping we won't be moving again in the next 6 months. But we have had to move our office space out because there just wasn't enough space there for us. We have more contracts coming in and needing to house more young people, so our office is now based in the Apex building on the top floor there. So Flexibility has been a key part of us taking on property, and just looking at the opportunities from lots of different angles, lots of different ways of doing it. And it was only actually when I just wrote down these notes that I realised that every experience has been so different, going through different channels to get the spaces. But from what I said at the start, it's not about, you know, we haven't had any grants for any of these moves, any of these kind of refurbs or anything like that. We haven't got any core funding, we're not loaded in any way, so it is possible to take on spaces and negotiate and make it happen. So yeah.